Today is primary day in the states of New Hampshire and Rhode Island. We'll bring in Doug Collins. He's a former Georgia Republican congressman. He's also a Newsmax contributor. Doug, always great to see you. Let's talk about this one here. The New Hampshire primary, rather. This is one that a lot of folks are watching, and you can see here the New York Times wrote about it. I was reading this morning. I'll pull a quote here. It says this: an intramural Republican fight over New Hampshire's nominee for the Senate entered its final day on Monday, with Governor Chris Sununu and national Republicans working furiously to try to block a Trump-style 2020 election denier, Don Bolduc, whom they perceive as too extreme to win in November. Retired Army General Bolduc is leading in the latest polls here. Governor Sununu endorsed his rival, that is the state Senate President Chuck Morse. Talk to me about that. Is that state endorsement going to be enough? Do you see the retired general pulling this out?
Well, right now he's in the lead, and I think the endorsements that he's had from, in support of Trump and all is going to be very important in our primary setting. We've seen this all over the country. It is interesting to me, though, that the Governor Sununu is now so interested in this seat, but yet he passed on running for this seat. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an interesting perspective you got to look at it here. But I think at the end of the day, the outside voices, the money coming in, the people of New Hampshire will vote for who they want to represent them. And I think that's what we're seeing across the country is then taking the Republicans and pulling together, because at the end of the day, you see all of the stories in mainstream media about Republicans fighting each other. At the end of the day, I want to see Republicans coming together and fighting Democrats. And I think that's what we've got to focus on after these primaries. And unfortunately, we see these things like this all the time. It is interesting to me, though, that it is the Washington crowd that determines who is the more likely candidate in November to win. And, sometimes they have not the best track record now.
Talk to me about Democrats propping up General Bolduc, thinking that maybe this would be the candidate that Senator Maggie Hassan can beat versus Chuck Morse. Is that a typical strategy? Is that a winning strategy by the Democrats? Are they making the right choice on that?
Yeah, this November is going to tell a lot about that. Democrats have seemingly spent more money trying to prop up or give money to Republicans that they think they can beat, as they have been opposed to making sure that their candidates are worth voting for. Mm-hmm. I mean, it seems like to me that if Hassan, she has trouble actually winning votes in New Hampshire, that you have to go out and supposedly find a candidate that she can beat, then she's not that strong to start with and maybe shouldn't be in elected office. Democrats have tried this strategy across the country. We've seen it backfire on them in a couple of places where, it has, worked, and now the Republicans are leading. And in some places it's not worked. But there's been a lot of Democrats, and I've heard from back channel from some Democrat friends of mine that they're very frustrated with millions of dollars being spent to, quote, promote candidates that they think they can beat, as opposed to trying to help candidates that are already Democrats in districts where there are fights going on.
Yeah, I know. Great point. And we'll see if it works. Tonight's the big night here for Republicans, at least, to find out who will be their nominee for New Hampshire. I'll pivot over to the congressional race there in New Hampshire, the first congressional district between former Trump White House staffer Caroline Leavitt and former State Department advisor under Trump Matt Mowers. Both candidates were on National Report yesterday, and neither held back. Take a listen.
This is not a MAGA rivalry. This is a rivalry between MAGA and the America First movement and the establishment swamp Republicans who are supporting my opponent, Matt Mowers.
Well, look, when folks are down in the polls and only have a day to go, they're willing to make up and say anything crazy in order to just try to win. But here's the truth. I've been an America First conservative my entire life, fighting for our country, working with President Trump, both in the 2016 campaign. I'm the only one who's running who actually was with President Trump in Trump Tower on election night when we took on crooked Hillary and beat her.
All right, so you've got both candidates there seemingly in the same direction, if you will, but who prevails in this race? Is it a Trump-style candidate running in a purple state like New Hampshire? Do they have a shot at even flipping that seat come November?
Well, it's interesting because I think they're both, as your word Trump-style candidate, I think they're both sort of would fit that mold. The interesting part here, though, this is a Republican sort of behind the scenes kind of thing. This is more of a story of who would fit better in the House of Representatives. And this is what is going on is the Republican leadership in the House, McCarthy and others, have decided that they want Mowers more than they want the candidate. And the reason here is internal Republican politics. They think that they can win this seat. And so at the end of the day, if you can win this seat, how are they then going to fit into the power structure that will come when there is a speaker election, majority lead elections, assuming that the House is taken over by Republicans. So this one, is not. I mean, the two candidates are making it out to be who's more Trumpier than the other. And look, I think they'll both, at this time fit that bill. But this has a deeper meaning. This is more one fought inside the Beltway among the Republican caucus.
Interesting point, very interesting point, and being up to who could represent that congressional district the best, at least. I wanted to get to abortion midterms, how that plays into politics. We'll close on that. There's a headline from Forbes that says this, quote, Senator Lindsey Graham will push for nationwide abortion restrictions in new bill. Here's what you need to know. It reads in part, Senator Lindsey Graham is set to unveil a new bill Tuesday that aims to restrict abortion access nationwide, a politically risky move that comes as the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade and a spat of near-total abortion bans in several Republican-controlled states appear to have galvanized Democratic voters ahead of the November midterms. Bottom line, and if you really go through any of the news articles today, it talks about how it's a mistake in terms of Republicans pushing bans on abortions even farther. This would separate them from female voters, if you will. Talk to me about that. Is it really going to play a major role in the midterms?
I think it's going to could play a role in the midterms in certain districts, especially if Republicans allow Democrats to demagogue and lie about this issue. And we saw this in Kansas. We saw it in New York 19. Look, Republicans don't need to make, I don't think there is necessarily the front and center of every campaign because the economic conditions and Joe Biden or inflation take that role. But here's what I'm saying. I'm seeing Republicans run from an issue that they have been front and center on for years. Why don't we just take it back and say, look, a Republican running against a Democrat who's running on abortion and say, look, my opponent is for having an abortion up to the moment of birth. My opponent is for having abortions to choose the sex of your baby. My opponent is for choosing to kill a deformed child or a child that has a disability in the womb instead of having that child. My opponent is for having, a discernment on sex selection. Make the Democrats have to answer these questions that you're seeing and among many of the liberal Democrats who are fighting about abortion. Instead, we're sort of running from the issue. This is an issue that has been many times decided. Americans do not like abortion. The way we handle it, though, is going to be an interesting way we go forward. Unfortunately, I'm seeing many Republicans who are running from an issue that they ran on, and now they're running from it. It's time for them to at least take a stand and make the other side answer the questions instead of letting the lies just persist.
Well, there's a lot that could be learned, too, from South Carolina. They recently lost their battle to ban nearly all abortions there in that state. 3 Republicans, women, sided with Democrats on that. They were not able to get that passed. So, again, could that be at least a turning point or an indicator, rather, in terms of these midterms? Doug Collins joining us live. This is a good discussion. I appreciate the time, Doug. Thank you.
It's always good to be with you. Take care.
You too.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. September is historically the worst performing month for the stock market, so you better be ready for it. The Fed continues to aggressively raise rates, and JP Morgan is forecasting another mega rate hike September the 21st. Is that why Jamie Dimon said an economic hurricane is coming our way? Well, gold and silver have remained remarkably stable despite the Fed aggressively raising rates today. The Patriot Gold Group has a special incentive for Newsmax viewers. Huge! Now precious metals investors can enjoy the no-fee-for-life gold and silver IRA on qualifying rollovers, or enjoy free, discreet, insured shipping on all direct gold and silver purchases. Here's the number, 800-356-4470. Call 800-356-4470 today.